Perspectives are next. So perspectives could be 2D, 3D, first person, third person, scrolling, aerial, sometimes called omnipresent, where you're looking down at a bird's eye view and you seem to be everywhere. So a 2D perspective is something typically used in older retro games, so maybe platform games, things like Sonic, Mario, etc. And they'll also scroll as well, a flat background. Limiting because it's not photorealistic and you can't move around the camera, so you can't see objects and interact with objects from different angles. So the character's typically only able to move up, down, left and right. A 3D perspective is most games are 3D now, so even some platform games are now 3D, and it means that you can move up and down through ceilings and down through floors. So it's a true 3D environment whereby you're not just moving left and right, you can actually go up and down within buildings, within objects, climb objects and go through ceilings and floors onto a new physical level above or below. In terms of the way that you see the game, then a perspective can be first person, so it allows this means that you're looking through the person's eyes that you're controlling, the character, and sometimes it's easier to then control that character, especially if it's maybe a fighting game. So if you're fighting, say for example Call of Duty, it's easier to maneuver objects in your hands, it's easier to run forwards, backwards, left, right, strafe, etc. It's easier to then have the gameplay such that you can move and sort of manipulate that character and see what that character sees through its very own eyes, and so it becomes quite immersive, really, in that you feel as if you're really in that world. Third person games are where maybe you've got to see what your character is doing on the screen. So you look at it from a side view, and you can actually see your character from the view of another person. So that might create a better emotional bond with the character if you can see what you actually look like rather than just viewing the world through that character's eyes. And it's also useful if you need to manipulate that person within the world. So say, for example, particularly good for sporting games where, say for example FIFA, where you've got to control the movement of that character and get them into a certain position to be able to, play the game of football. So if you've got to get an empathy, a real sort of feeling that you belong with that character, if you've got an emotional bond, then it might be a third person view, and also if you need to manipulate in a different position to be able to complete a different particular move or movement. Scrolling, again, a 2D platform game where you can't fit all of the world onto one screen quite often, and so you go left and right and the world will scroll with you. Mario, Sonic, etc. will do that as you go left and right throughout the game. So typically 2D retro games will use a scrolling screen. Aerial, then, so anything that is top down, looking down on things, maybe like League of Legends. The first Grand Theft Auto, incidentally, was a top-down view, an aerial view. Not so now, so they changed it now into a 3D sort of first-person view, really, and third-person view. But originally it was a top-down view, sometimes called an omnipresent view. Other management games, so strategy games might do that sort of. So Civilization might do that. If you're looking down, you've got to strategically place things. Things like the tycoon games, Theme Park Tycoon, etc., where you've got to look at the whole park and see what's going on. Sometimes called an omnipresent view, where you can see everything. Omnipresent means that you're everywhere at once. once. And then context sensitive is another type of perspective used in the game where the players are required to look at something or someone in the group. So maybe you need to then change the view. So you might decide that you want to switch views so that you can do something or see something from a particular perspective. Change the camera angle or the camera view within the game.